We're back to learning CSS. Let me show you how I can style buttons. In principle, you can select these buttons like all elements and treat them like a div container, for example. Let me just add a button here and I call it click here. But I want to contrast this, so our first one is going to be the default button, and below I want to select a button. Let me give that the class style button. And now I use style button as a selector. And we can, for example, add a different background color. Text align, we can change that. By default, it should be center. I want to keep it like that. The font size, it determines actually the size of the button. So if you make that bigger, the button is going to get bigger as well. Let me put that into a new line and I add a little bit of a margin and padding. And when you look at the padding, this is also going to expand our button. I don't want to only have the margin on top. If you have a link or anything inside of your button, you may want to get rid of the text decoration. And in the case of a link, it would be an underline. And you can also set the border. I'll make that none. So background color determines the color of your button. The general size is set via font size and padding. And this would be the basic adjustment, you could say, of such a button. One more thing to add might be a border radius, because usually buttons nowadays they have rounded corners, and we'll use border minus radius for that. When you use 50%, it's going to be a circle or an ellipse depending on the text and the overall size. Normally a radius of 10 should be fine. Let us create a new button and add a line break. So in this case, I want to make this a border button. Therefore, I'll give it the background color that we've got here. The default is white. Therefore, I set the background minus color to white. And to be able to make this now a border only button, I use our border property. And here I treat this like every border. I give it a width, 4 pixels, a style, solid, and a color, Dodger blue. One thing that you have to keep in mind though is that the size of this border is going to get added to the size of your button. So our styled button with the border is now a little bit bigger than the one without. I want to add one more button, and it's going to be a hover button. I'll select this hover button and let me actually change the text inside of the buttons. Our hover button has the same style for now, and now I select it and add the state hover to it. And here we want to change the background color definitely, and also the cursor. So when I change the cursor, our mouse icon is going to change when we hover over it. Background color, I want to make that darker, so I use dark blue. But now the contrast to the black text is not enough anymore, therefore I change the color to white, which is going to change the color of the text when we hover over it. And these would be the basic adjustments of buttons. As you've seen, it works like adjusting any other element. Try it out yourself. I hope this video was helpful.